maybe I should put in the beginning of this video, like, hey, wait till video 14, 15. Let's wait till video 15 to start watching these things, because right now it's just me trying to purge my system of like this long-winded, whatever, unclear word vomit. Okay, so I guess this is working now. Hold on, let me turn off my monitor. Okay, yeah, because I was monitoring my audio, and it's weird. I don't know if you've ever tried talking while monitoring your audio with a little bit of lag, and it's just like impossible because you find your voice starting to like move towards the lag. But anyway, I came here, I sat down, and I got everything ready, but I tried to really make it fast, because usually what stops me from recording something like this is that the preparation just becomes too overcomplicated, because obviously you can't see my setup right now. I could always, here, I'll take a picture. Sorry, I'm just trying to get rid of some paraphernalia. But anyway, so long story short, I spent a lot of time setting things up, and I never actually get things done. And so for this time, I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down. I have an idea in my head, or many ideas have come together in my head finally. So I'm just going to sit down and start doing it. And so I did that. But obviously, I set up the camera, the microphone, and there's always some sort of issue with these things. And then my OBS thing wasn't working, so I had to ask Claude what was going on. And it turned out I was trying to output something at like 8K for no reason. And so you see how easily I get distracted, because I'm like, well, I should get off of this. And then I've kept this crypto thing on the screen, because right when I'm about to press record, finally, I look over and I'm like, oh fuck, my stupid banana coin is going up. I have to ride the wave, so then I switch some funds from one to the other. And anyway, distraction. And now I'm going to close it, but when I look at it again, I'm sure I'll have lost some money. But let's just try to focus. So here's what I'm thinking. About 2 years ago, I was considering pretending to have forgotten everything about everything, and then filming a YouTube channel basically about what would my interests be? What would I do with my life? Who would I spend time with? How would I spend my time in general, basically, if I woke up in this house with all of the gadgetry and all of this stuff that I've accumulated over time that I've never really made use of, because of my subconscious kind of, or sometimes not so subconscious, like anxiety of how it will be, or whatever. And I thought, well, the cure to that might be if I had forgotten everything somehow in this theoretical universe, where I could just wake up and still kind of communicate and survive, and I wouldn't have to be in a hospital, but I'm just like in this house being like, okay, what is all this stuff? Whose stuff is this? Oh, it's mine. Okay. What can I do with it? And I just feel like in that blank slate type of mindset, I would have like a pure experience of really knowing what I want to do and how I want to spend my time without all the baggage. Maybe I'll go down that rabbit hole some other time, but for now, I just wanted to open this by saying this project that I'm starting right now, today, right here, is called I Don't Fucking Know, in honor of, yeah, in my head, I'm like, why did I have to yell? I don't fucking know while I typed it, because really the sound of these keys um, would make such a nicer experience. So I'm gonna erase this for a second. And 1, 2, 3. So this project is called I missed an apostrophe, but I was pretty good. No eye I mean, with full eye contact, I got it pretty close. And I just wanted to touch a few more keys, so it really is just IDFK. Sounds good, right? Okay, so let me just kind of quickly introduce this so I don't go too overboard on like the explanation, because that's really another issue that I have. Whenever I've tried to film something like this, I end up really just kind of zooming in on the details and just spending way too much time there. So I'm going to cut all of that. I'm going to try to keep myself moving along. That being said, I'm about to do it. Like, I'm about to zoom in on this. All I was going to say right there is that being said, I'm going to try not to think too much about all that. And I'm just going to do it how I do it, so that I don't have to stop myself from actually stepping away from this and just saying, okay, that's it. It's good enough. And just moving on to the next thing, because I've filmed so many number one videos. Well, number one videos makes it sound like I'm on some sort of chart and I'm killing it. I've filmed the first video so many times, and I don't think I've ever filmed video number 2. So even if this ends up being, 2 hours and 14 minutes, I'm still going to just say, okay, that's fine. And as you will see, the purpose of this project will be like a certain evolution to making this more efficient, meaning the camera thing, like right now, like my OBS setup doesn't look so great with it. I got all this black stuff here, so I got to figure all that out. But like as we go along, I'm going to be learning this type of thing for everything, for the lighting, for the audio, for the camera, for the screen, for how I maybe prepare for a video like this, since I have not prepared at all, except just mentally, etc. So why am I doing this? And I haven't even explained what this is yet, but let me just give you some background about what's relevant about me that makes this project something that other people might find value might find value in, might gain value from, might find value, period. Okay, whatever. We'll work on that as well. I have so many disparate interests, like across a range of different things. So my profession is basically a creative strategist, or at least that's what I say to people when they ask me what I do. And that title is basically like a stand-in for something that is a little bit more recognizable by people, since I'm not sure if you could guess what a creative strategist does, but it's just not something that people are really familiar with. And even me, I mean, I just kind of like it because it blends two things that I'm very interested in and that I think are, they're great. They're great. Both of those words are great. I make presentations, I write proposals, I've managed creative teams, and I'm planning on doing a little bit more of that, at least as far as like creative workshops for other companies, because right now I'm an independent contractor, etc. I won't go into the details, but on my off time, I'm also just always what I call working, which most of the times means reorganizing things. Right now, I've just, for some reason, painted this pegboard behind me, and I cleared out all of the stuff that was on it this morning after having painted it already like 6 months ago. I've changed this workshop at least, I don't know, probably 15 times is a reasonable guess in the last 8 years. And I mean like major changes. It might be more than that, but I'm not going to dwell on it. Anyway, so in my off time, like in addition to the digital things that I'm doing all the time, using PowerPoint, using these AI tools, which I'm about to get into because that's a major part of this whole thing, doing research, marketing, creative design, graphic design, I should say, sometimes a little bit of the web design stuff. Anyway, just all over the place, right? I'm a generalist, as they say, a creative generalist. Analog, I'm also just like, right now I have a Pook Maxi over there. I will maybe just make a habit of just taking pictures of these things as I talk about. Okay, my phone is... Why is this? My phone is connected to my computer for some reason as like a webcam. Okay, snap. I'm sure I can do a little bit of editing, even though I promised myself I wouldn't be editing this, just to like have the photo flash whenever I'm taking a picture like that. So I got this Pook Maxi over here, which I bought kind of on a whim, and I really want to fix it up. So I just got a new carburetor, and I'm working with Codex to like create mock-ups of like how it will look and stuff like that, which I've already done once with my GoPed. It's not here, and I'm not going to just keep doing that little shtick, but I have a GoPed Sport. I have a GoPed Sport because I said shtick, and that's why Anyway, so like I tinker with things, let's just say. I have a 3D printer, I got a bunch of drones up there. So I have a lot of stuff that I'm very interested in that I feel like other people are also interested in, and me kind of learning how to do these things live, if I can get this into a workflow where I'm doing it consistently, basically just doing what I'm already doing, except sharing it in like a frictionless way, then I feel like my life will be pretty solid, at least until I, want more than that. So let's talk a little bit about what I plan on doing here. So I said that AI was going to be a huge part of this, and that's not for nothing, because I am currently really trying to get a hang of the agents thing. And so what fascinates me about the agents thing, Codex, Claude, Cowork, maybe I'm mixing these things up. I mean, I know Codex is ChatGPT, Claude I think is Cowork. I don't really code, so I'm using Cowork mainly. What interests me about the agents and why this is all connected to that like idea I had 2 years ago about pretending I didn't remember anything, is that with agents, to get good results out of it, and I'm speaking from my awareness rather than experience, because it takes me a while to get good results, and that's kind of why I need to learn this. But anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. With agents, it's kind of like you have to answer all these questions that are really like fundamental to not only like creative work, but also your own personal like principles and your taste and your interests and stuff like that. And just to expand on that a little bit for anyone who doesn't really understand what I'm saying, the way to really fine-tune these things, or maybe I should use a different term, since fine-tuning is actually like a a term of art in the AI thing, to get these things optimized to really performing in the way that you want them to. That involves basically building a bunch of markdown files that are organized in a file system, basically, that says, this is how you should write, and like this is about, this is information about me and what I'm working on and what I'm trying to do with my life, or this is the output format I want. When you create a Word document, I want it to have 24-point headings, and the first headings to be in all caps, and heading 2 to be in title case, in 16 font, bold, whatever. I want to use these colors, so it just, wherever you look, whatever your interests are, it kind of forces you to answer like the really important questions that in the creative industry, for sure, but also in our personal lives, it was always a good idea for us to have these answers to answer these things, right? I mean, so much of our time is spent like on the surface level of things, just trying to churn out things and dealing with issues as they go. But what I've learned from working in, a creative role for almost whatever, in one way or another, for 2 decades or so, is that when you do take the time to map out like SOPs or workflows or brand guidelines, basically, either for yourself or for a client, for all these things, it feels like time that you don't have, right? Like that's why so many people just never get around to doing it, is because they have to make money, right? They have to just keep churning things out for clients and stuff like that. But when you do take the time to map these things out and structure things, the return on that investment is huge over time. So basically all I'm saying is, for someone like me who spends most of his time like working, either in a professional respect or just tinkering around, and I just call it working because I just don't really, this is what I'm interested in, it's just kind of solitary tinkering and experiments and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be solitary, it's just that not many people share that sort of long-term enthusiasm for such things, or maybe it's just hard to really coordinate people's individual interests in a way that makes tinkering together something that's easy to do. And that's a whole other huge topic that I would love to dive into further at some point, because it is something I think about all the time, because I do care about my friends and my family. It's just solitude is just the state of experience that I've found I'm able to really stay in the mode that I want to be in at all times, to be honest. Anyway, so what I plan on doing here is basically I'm not really sure what I plan on doing here. And so that's why I'm going to go through all of this with, in partnership with an AI, whether that's Claude or Codex or both of them. And together we're going to figure out, okay, here are the things, like, okay, let me together we're basically going to just think about, like, okay, we're starting really at the base root of things, and that includes both me and the AI partner. What should we do together to make sure that we're creating a foundation that we can do anything together, and that we're always improving in the way that we collaborate, in the outputs that it's giving me, in the things that I'm doing, like what are the ways to do that? And I feel like I'm still not really making any sense out loud. So for instance, here's what I would imagine an example of something would be. I want to start from scratch, setting up a system for creative work, whether that's on the computer or in my workshop or out on the street or with my friends. I have, this many interests, and these are what they are. How do we start by creating this system to basically equip me selfishly? Because really, at this point, the AI is not really getting any fulfillment out of this. But, as that changes, obviously, I would want us both to be benefiting from our work together. How do we most effectively build that system? And if I ask the AI that right now, which I will in a second, what I expect from it is just a huge, long response that just overcomplicates things, and it just really goes max to the gills on just like phases and stages and whatever, week 1, week 2, because I've tried to do this with specific projects, right? And it's always just like, oh God, like you just haven't really, I mean, I've started so many things and haven't finished them, and I'm not blaming the AI for that, because my own brain is like something that just overcomplicates things at all times. But if there's one thing that overcomplicates things more than me, it's definitely these LLMs. So whatever. So anyways, that's basically that's a distraction from the main point. The main point, okay, so whatever. The first response is not going to be great, but then once we really get down to like, okay, it understands what I'm trying to do, then maybe, for an example, it will say, okay, well, let's start with naming procedures for files, files, folders, Notion projects, etc. Or maybe it will say, let's start with the tools that we're using and like the core tools, right? Because I just said, Notion projects and stuff. So me imagining it talking about naming procedures has kind of uncovered something like, oh wait, there's something before that, because I just said Notion projects, it's not going to know what I mean by that. So then I go backwards and say, okay, so then maybe the first step of this is to map out the tools that I'm using to get the things that I am interested in done, right? But then that also uncovers another layer that's lower than that, which is, what are those things that I'm interested in getting done? And okay, so then I say, okay, here are my interests and the things that I do on a daily basis. And I mean, I could just keep going and being annoying by saying, well, there's a layer below that. Like, what do you mean by daily? Like, well, how much time do I have? So maybe I have to start with, okay, this is the amount of time that I have in a day, so that it understands, like, what I expect to get done within a day, within a week or a month or whatever. And then ultimately, let's just skip over all the other little layers. I can go between then and there. The ultimate question is like, well, who is I here, right? Maybe. I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. That's why it reminded me of this thing that I was thinking of doing 2 years ago, of like pretending. Don't ask me how I planned on executing on that. Just like really, but I really was like thinking about going all the way on it, like basically pretending and to my parents, my family, my friends, that I just had forgotten everything. And even though they would probably know I was pretending, I just would have to kind of just hold on to the act, I guess. But anyways, that's why it connects for me, because it ultimately comes back to like how to build a creative life, an effective one. And it's so easy to get overwhelmed right now with all the tools that are available, and like the changes, especially in the AI development. Learning how to prompt in 2024 effectively is basically, out the window at this point, and you have to learn a whole new set of things, like how to use the cowork or the codecs, you know. So yeah, so basically the central question is like, how do we build a creative life with all of the resources that are available to us? And how do we do it on a different scale and a different time frame than we could have expected to do it before, now that we have these collaborators that are basically just, as amazing as you are able to prompt them to be, I guess, is really, it's, that word is a little too narrow, but whatever, I'm not going to linger on it. So yeah, so that's the idea. That's what I'm going to do here. And so, just so I don't stand here for any longer, I see that this video has already been 28 minutes, which is great. I'll just make this the introduction. I kind of expect it to do more on the screen, which is why I have the screen up and why. But I'll say 28 minutes is enough for today, especially because I refuse to edit this, at least for now. I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to upload it, I think. This is what I'm saying to myself, but I could already hear the second voice in my head being like, saying all the pussy shit that it always says about that. But I really believe that if I could just not overthink everything, because I know if I throw this in Premiere, yeah, I can edit the video, but I'm going to want to make it good. And that will force me to just keep going and going and going, because the only way I do things well creatively is just by spending a fuck ton of time on it. And so to stop myself from that and to get myself to video 2, I'm just going to upload this. And if you watch this, then maybe you know me. But otherwise, yeah, no, I'm not forcing anyone to watch this, so don't watch it. Just to allow me to upload and move on to video 2, where hopefully we will get it to half the time. 15 minutes? Maybe. We'll see what happens. It might take more and more. But if I don't have to edit it, and if I don't have to overthink what it looks like, if it's high quality, if I'm not embarrassed by it, whatever. If I don't have to think about those things, then I can do one every single day. And so maybe I should put in the beginning of this video, like, hey, wait till video 14, 15. Let's wait till video 15 to start watching these things, because right now it's just me trying to purge my system of like this long-winded, whatever, unclear word vomit, but it is what it is. This is how it came out, so it is what it is. And like I said, even though I know everything I said about what this project has been super unclear, to say the least. I've definitely mumbled about certain things, but in my head it's very straightforward and clear, and it's a great idea. My mouth has never really been my friend in as far as translating whatever's in there. So that's something I'm going to work on here. And that's why this whole thing is like so meta. And I mean that in a way where it's like, it's layered, right? It's like a Russian doll, because I can't explain it, I guess. But not only am I going to learn how to use these AI tools, I'm also going to learn like how I want to spend my time, what I want to be when I grow up, because I'm 37 now and I still haven't really answered that question. I'm going to learn how to use this equipment that I have in the most effective way so that I don't have to be embarrassed of it by video 15. I'm going to learn a lot, and hopefully other people can learn too once we get to that point, because obviously if you came here to learn something, then I've definitely disappointed you, but this is just necessary for me to get to a place where I can actually help you. And I hope that the you that I'm speaking to is for the most part strangers, because while I love the people that are in my life and that I've cared about in the past and that I know and my friends, the unfortunate truth is, and I think this probably goes for most of us, is that what really stops me from doing this type of thing is what 10 to 20 people are going to think about it when they see it. And that is just so, to go through life not being, or not finding the edges of your potential, and like not trying new things in public, and making use of like this sharing ecosystem that we all have access to because of the people that care about you and that you care about, I think is like, it's a tragedy. I mean, and I know that sounds corny as fuck the way I just said it, but it is tragic because these are the people that you love and that love you. So why? So to have a lesser version of life than you would have if you weren't so worried about what these 10 to 20 people would think. Okay, I've tied my brain in a knot there. I'm sure you understand. I don't have to spell everything out to you, strangers. So yeah, we'll leave it there for today. I'm gonna figure out everything. You know, like I said, I was gonna do some stuff here. That's why I have this all set up. I was really gonna make them compete against each other so I can choose one or the other. As my main man, I guess I should say. But I think I'm about to hit 40 minutes now, and so I will call it a day.